Good morning and welcome to our next episode in Unbundling Telematics with FleetWatch and Netstar. My name is Patrick O'Leary, I'm Managing Editor of FleetWatch Magazine, and today we're going to be talking the best telematic solutions for small to medium fleets. This is a very important topic because we'll go into why, but with me in the studio today I have Francois, who's Principal Technology Consultant. I just want to tell you a little bit about Francois. He's a Principal Technology Consultant at Netstar, has spent most of his working career in the technology sector within the Altron Group. I would say all your working career almost, eh?
Correct.
Recently retired, fishing now, eh?
Flying aeroplanes and riding motorbikes, Patrick.
Riding motorbikes, better than fishing. As the company's Chief Technology Officer, we headed up the technology team that is spearheading the group's growth strategies in the IoT sector, the Internet of Things sector. Gee whiz, Francois, you walked a wonderful road of technology. Hey? The Internet of Things, when we started all this back in the 90s, we didn't even know about the Internet of Things. It wasn't around. It was GPS and that was it. Eh?
Correct.
Yeah. And in the early 90s, here's an interesting one. Francois touched each one of your lives out there. He was the founder and CEO of the Altron Multimedia Division, the company that brought us, wait for it, the first DSTV decoders and PVRs. So how's that? This is the man that brought DSTV into our lounges, eh?
Correct.
Fantastic. Well, it's made a huge difference to all our lives, so well done. Francois, talking about the telematic solutions for small to medium-sized fleets. I want to go back a little bit. You walked a long road in this arena. You've been in right from the start. I mean, I see you were with Altron before Altron bought
Correct.
Netstar, eh?
Correct.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I remember the launch of that when they bought them. They had it at the Four Ways Hotel.
Correct, yeah.
The announcement of that, eh? What year was that? Can you remember?
Sure, that was 25 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while back, but Netstar had been around since, 1994, eh, before they bought him. Right, but you were with Altron at that, bringing us our TV. Now, in the early days of fleet management, vehicle tracking, etc., Internet of Things we didn't know about. It was GPS, and even that was new to all of us. And the systems were very expensive. I remember, one crowd with 18,000 Rand for a system to go onto a truck, onto
Yes.
one truck. Now you take a big fleet. So it was really pioneer people with brave guts who actually were spending that money. And there were lots of system suppliers, most of them gone. Okay, there were a lot of fly-by-nights. They saw big truck, big money. They didn't say the long return of investment. Now, today those prices have come down. None of you would be around with those prices in. It's a fraction of that. But did the price of the systems dictate against the smaller companies implementing the advantage of telematics? Because the smaller companies have been left out for many years. I still don't think the full potential of the small companies has been realized. Was it the price that initially did that? And were you developing initially for the larger fleets?
Yeah.
Who did you have in mind?
So 100%, Patrick. I think if you look back, of course, Netstar started in the world of private vehicles, stolen vehicle recovery. But if you look at the early days of vehicle telematics, it was very much focused against large enterprise. I think not only was the technology most probably outside of the reach of small businesses because of the pricing issues that you raised, but also the biggest return of investment was for the large enterprises. They could see a return on investment. It is quite ironical, the core products has come down in prices, but some of the large enterprises would still spend up to 18,000 Rand per truck, just putting not only the core telematics, which has come down dramatically in price, but putting camera systems and various other IoT devices on the vehicle, communication devices. So it is not out of the ordinary, especially for those enterprises that operate in the sort of safety space, sort of mining, oil and gas and so on. They would spend large capital spend per truck, but you're quite right, and maybe I can just cite the example, as electronics commoditize, the prices just drop tremendously, and we see it all over the spectrum of technology. The first DSTV decoder, when we designed it, the MultiChoice gave us a target of 2,000 Rand per decoder. we didn't make it. We came in at 8,000 rand to decoder, but today you can buy that same decoder for 499. You know, so as the technology commoditizes, the prices just plummets, and that of course opens up the technology to other industries. And I think the SME industry is in fact in its infancy. You know,
SMB, just for people who don't know, is small and medium business. Just define it.
Correct. Yeah. So some people refer to it as SMB, small and medium-sized businesses. Some to SME, small and medium-sized enterprises. But it's basically, you know, in our world, a small business is typically a fleet of 1 to 15 vehicles. Different companies categorize it differently. But if you look at and then sort of a medium-sized enterprise would be 15 to 50 vehicles. But I think. You know, if you look at the NSBC, that's a National Small Business Council. They represent the industry. They're most probably the biggest representation in the industry. So their statistics sort of shows that the small and medium-sized enterprise average fleet size is actually about 5 vehicles, 4 to 5 vehicles. So that when we talk SMB, that's a space that we're talking about.
I was going to actually ask you, how do you define a small business, a medium business, a large business? Is it on the number of vehicles in the fleet? Or is it on the size of the vehicles or the size of the company? And I'll give you an example why I ask this question. When in the old days you didn't have online shopping. It wasn't around. You've got online shopping today, but they're not massive vehicles. They're normally vans and all that, but they do route planning, or they need route planning and that. And those are big fleets. How do you define the small to medium to big fleet?
Yeah, Patrick, that is a trick question. Yeah, so you know, you have to sort of put boundaries around it. So we've put a number of vehicles boundary around it, but you have 100% right. You know, you sometimes have very large fleets with very simple needs. You know, so all that they want to do is, all they want is vehicle visibility, no more. And this is typically your large delivery companies and so on. You know, they just want dots on a map.
Large
applications. Yeah. Whereas you could have the opposite as well. You could have an operator with 5 vehicles, but with very complex needs, IoT needs. He needs to measure temperatures and various other sensors in the back of the vehicle. So it's not definitive, you know, but just for the sake of convenience and the way that we position businesses, we're putting a number of vehicles count around it.
So what's a small fleet? How many?
Small fleets 1 to 15, medium fleet sort of 15 to 50. So today we're talking about 1 to 50.
Okay, so anything over 50 is a large fleet in your eyes. Okay, and that gets different attention because of its different needs, and that gets different packages, which leads me to the next question that I wanted. Have you developed system features particularly for the small to medium-sized businesses, or do you take from your overall service, what do you call it, the package of offerings, the full telematics offerings? Do you draw out of that menu and make it applicable to the small business, or have you actually developed applicable technology to meet the needs of the small business, small to medium?
Yeah, so Patrick, as I said, telematics is relatively new in the SME space. So like any other player, you know, you sort of start off trying to get customers to buy into what you have. So we took these heavy lifting large enterprise platforms to the small businesses, but it wasn't a good fit.
Okay.
So I think you know, the focus is now to the extent where, you know, we have a specific offering for the small businesses, the 1 to 15 vehicles, and another offering for the 50 to 50, and then of course the large enterprise. So we have 3 offerings, but we also recognize that businesses grow. You start with 5 vehicles, you end up with 500 vehicles. You know, so you don't want to end up with legacy. So what we've done quite cleverly, in my opinion, is the sort of bottom layer is all what we call our big data platform. So it does not matter what size fleet you have and what product you're buying. They all report into the big data platform. So as your fleet grow, you can go from the small vehicle platform to the medium vehicle platform to the high vehicle platform, and your vehicle history will come with you, and the devices in the vehicle will continue to work. You know, so that was our strategy around it. So we will grow with your fleet or shrink with your fleet. But the main thing is it's all about customer experience, Patrick. So how you interact with your fleet. Your small to medium-sized businesses is more focused around using mobile phones and mobile devices to interact with their fleet, where large enterprises, of course, they need heavy lifting reports. So they're more accustomed to working behind computers and integration into the rest of their enterprise systems and so on. So yeah, so it's very much a specific, let's call it a front end for each segment of the marketplace.
Okay, now, this is very interesting, because for many years we didn't talk about the small and medium side when it came to telematics, and we've covered that. You say it's not a new area, but a new focused area. I'm a small fleet. I've got 10 vehicles. I'm doing local deliveries. I want telematics. Sell me something.
Yeah. Yeah, so Patrick, I think
that is going to improve my fleet operation. That's going to save my money, look after my fuel consumption, make sure I don't go into danger areas. Sell me something. Help me make my business successful.
Correct. Okay, so Patrick, I think let me just generically do a sale to you. So I think if you look at the small businesses, and these are the sort of 5-vehicle businesses, their main need is around visibility of the vehicle and of course safety of the driver. So the product that you're putting together for that space needs to address those two needs. So it's really dots on a map. Where's my vehicle? Did my maintenance crew arrive at the right place at the right time? So and similarly, is my driver safe? Is there a service in place that will help him if he gets hijacked? Is my vehicle secure? Will you recover my vehicle if it gets stolen? So it's around safety, security, and let's call it fleet visibility.
Okay.
But now, as you move into the medium-sized enterprise, now you're talking a fleet of up to maybe 50 vehicles and so on. So now the efficiency of the fleet is starting to come into it. How many hours per day is my vehicle traveling? How many kilometers is it traveling? So am my fleet being used efficiently? Where your small business don't care about that. As long as the construction bakkie arrives on site on time, and stands for the rest of the day, they don't care. But they want to know that the crew arrived there on time. But with a medium-sized enterprise, they want to know more. They want to know, is my fleet being used efficiently? Can I do with a smaller fleet? Can I improve my or optimize the use of my fleet and so on? So those other things are also important to them, how the drivers are driving the vehicle and so on. So typically you have to include all of those, but now you're starting to add things like fleet utilization reporting. You include the fuel management into it. And also in the sort of fleets, the five vehicle fleets, there's no specific driver necessarily assigned to a vehicle.
Okay.
Where as you move into the medium-sized fleet, there's typically they want to know which driver was driving which truck on which day, or on which trip even. So there's driver identification comes into it and so on. And then lastly, I think again on the sort of entry-level product, you want a product that is easy to use, easy to onboard. So you want almost a digital experience. The modern trend is digital experience. So you don't want to go through a whole bunch of sales consultants and so on. So you want to go online, pick your product, and push a button, give your bank details, and somebody comes and install your vehicles, and you're up and running. So it's very much a DIY kind of environment. You want to be able to set up your own danger zones. You want to be able to set up your own notification and alerts and monitor them on a phone. So it's very much a sort of a self-managed environment.
Okay, but could I understand? That sounds all very interesting to me as a fleet. I can see some benefit, but are you going to train me in setting this up? Because you want me to go to DIY. You're talking about almost an off-the-shelf product for me because I'm small to medium. Are you going to train me to get maximum benefits? Because there's so much there,
Yes.
Is it the package? I still want to define, is it a package for small to medium size? Have you packaged something specifically for small to medium size? Taking the needs that you've just spelled out.
Yes.
And are you going to train me? Or, let's go into the next one. You've got a bureau. What is best for me? Do you want to train me and let me conduct that? Or would you conduct it for me? As a small business, is it worth your while?
Yeah. So Patrick, I'm glad you brought up the point of a bureau. So bureau was the exclusive domain of the large enterprise. A couple of years ago. But I think we now offer a bureau service across the spectrum. So whether you're a person with 5 vehicles, or whether you're a person with 50 vehicles, or with 5,000 vehicles, we offer bureaus. But again, those bureau services, the needs for those bureau services grows with the complexity of your requirements. So at the entry level, the self-managed product and so on, there's no need for training per se. It's very intuitive, it's very DIY and so on. But we do have a bureau sitting behind it. At the very least, we monitor the health of your fleet. So if we monitor, if we notice that the vehicle is not reporting when it should be reporting, or there's anything suspicious around it, we will actually notify you in your app that there's something suspicious and you need to look at it. And there's a call to action, so if you agree there's something wrong, you can click on a button, our bureau services will kick in and they will help you remedy the situation. Where as you move then into the medium-sized enterprises, now suddenly our bureau services will help you with curating your reports so that you're not overwhelmed with these 1,000 reports every day. They will go through it and they will turn it into exception reporting. They will start building business intelligence dashboards for you. As you move into the large enterprise, the bureau services will even do a managed service for you. So we will monitor your fleet, we will talk to your drivers if they're doing something suspicious. We will monitor to make sure that they stay on the assigned route. So of course the bureau services grow with the needs or the complexity of the needs.
Yeah. So it's working together as on the bigger side, you guys really put a lot of effort in on the bigger fleets. Put a lot of effort in, go out, you've got a partnership, you look at their needs and all. I just want to know that as a small business, I'm not being left out of that net. You're going to look after me as much as you are for a big business. You're going to help me, guide me, take me along the road of telematics so that I get the best products, the best features of telematics to help my business in its current situation. Fuel, as you know, is a mad price, but also help me grow so I become efficient. Transport efficiency, transport productivity, driver behavior, all those sort of things, to me, are important for one truck as they are for 100 trucks. Are you going to help me, Francois?
Yeah, so I must also mention, not only within our bureau, but we also have what we call key account managers. So the minute you sign on as a medium-sized enterprise, we will sign a key account manager to you. And these guys are competent fleet consultants. So, your fleet might not be growing, but your needs might be growing. So, you might have started off with a simple visibility and safety need, but you now want to expand on that and you want to start adding IoT to your vehicle. So you want to put sensors onto your vehicle. One of the most exciting spaces for us at the moment is video technology and AI. So typically so again, that started off being only affordable in the large enterprise space, but now we're seeing that those costs are coming to plummeting down. So it's coming into the reach of the small enterprise. So it started off with simple dash cam kind of technology, but the benefits from those dash cam technology is limited. What we do there, Patrick, typically is we either record the footage in the vehicle itself, and if there's an incident, you can go and download it or take the memory stick out and build the evidence back for that. Or alternatively, in most cases we do hybrid. If there is an event in the vehicle, if the telematics sense an event like harsh braking, acceleration, whatever, it will send a video clip of that event as well. And we then have some digital inspectors in the bureau. These are typically people that is hearing impaired, so their visual capability is very, very high, and they sit and look at these video clips, and if they see something that needs intervention, they will then build the evidence back for the fleet operator and dispatch it to them. But we actually already moving on from that, Patrick. So this AI technology is now in the vehicle. There's powerful microprocessors in the vehicle, and we can now, in the vehicle itself, determine whether you were wearing your safety belt, whether you were eating while driving, have you got both wheels on the steering wheel, are you getting tired? We can look at your eyes, are they getting droopy, how often do you blink, and these kind of things. And based on that, we can make an instantaneous decision that there's something wrong. So we give the driver an alert. We send the alert to the back end as well, but we give the driver an alert so that he can immediately modify his behavior. And we just find as a tool to change behavior, it's far more effective. If you get a driver debrief report at the end of a 3-day trip, it's not as effective, but if you tell the guy you're driving too fast, slow down now, it's very, very effective. Yeah.
And that's all the monitoring of driver behavior, which is so important. It's been such a big plus of telematics. Where before the truck used to go out and that was it. You'd have to wait for him to get to a ticky box to phone you,
Correct.
Get to the client. Now it's instant and you can communicate instantly. And these benefits are really, and sometimes I think they're even more applicable to the small to medium-sized business because he's focusing very much on making that helicopter or something, not so much on his fleet. The bigger guys have more resources inside, and the smaller guy doesn't. And I think there's huge potential to increase the productivity, the efficiencies of the small fleets and the small fleet owners in South Africa. Route scheduling, for example. You know, the guy might have, well, he'll have multiple drops.
Correct.
And what is the best route to go there? To save fuel and also to avoid high-risk areas. And that is where the small company, the small fleet owner, can benefit from something that he might not have thought would affect him in the past. Big data.
Correct.
You're getting millions of data points every day, and you can identify the risk areas. You can identify high risk for hijacking, muggings, etc. Put him on the right route. All that big data is now coming to the benefit of the small guy as well.
100%, Patrick. Yeah, and it's interesting, you know, if you look at the sort of penetration of telematics into the total vehicle space, I think there's just under 12 million vehicle park in South Africa at the moment. Of that vehicle park, 3.7 million is in the SMB space. You know, according to the latest statistics, there's 750,000 small businesses out there.
Yeah.
You know, and the telematics penetration into that base is quite low. It's 24%. Where if you look at the large enterprises, it's already sitting at 63% penetration. So you can see that in the large enterprise, people already realize the benefits and they use it to its nth degree. So even if you look at the growth numbers, you know, the sort of growth of the telematics base in the small to medium-sized enterprises is 7.5% per year. And that was last year's statistics, where in the large enterprise space it's 2.5%. You know, so it is the fastest growing segment with the most vehicles out there, and it is because people are now realizing that they can have the same benefits as these large enterprise prices, but at an affordable price. You know, so route scheduling and all that sort of thing was very specialist. 10 years ago, there were specialist companies out doing it. Now it's within the domain of the small and medium-sized enterprise. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
That is such great news, because if I could put it this way, it wasn't a tactical plan to ignore small to medium business. There was also a huge amount of development, R&D that you had to do in the telematic space. And I mean, you in the technology arena must have seen dramatic improvement. I mean, scary improvements almost. But so the small guy wasn't ignored deliberately, but now the big guy's looked after. The R&D has been done. You've got big data. You've got Internet of Things. You've got video cameras on the thing. You've got all the systems in place. And next growth area, as you've just pointed out by the figures you've said, is the small to medium-sized business. That's exciting, but it also is going to take a lot of work from your part, because they hang up a lot more of the small to medium-sized businesses to interact with than there are the big businesses. Are you prepared for that?
100%, Patrick. Yeah. Now I think you know, when as a new business or a new market opens, you need to position yourself properly for it. You know, so we had to rethink the way that we do business with in the commercial space. You know, so our DNA used to be heavy vehicles, big trucks, and so on.
Yes.
So and now we suddenly have to think more agile, lots of small businesses, DIY. So, you know, we had to go and reinvent the way that we're doing business with our customers, starting with how do we onboard customers easier? You know, can we allow customers to onboard themselves through a digital platform? You know, and right through to how do we render services to them? How do we allow them to upgrade to all these interesting IoT like AI cameras and sensors and so on. So yeah, so we had to reposition the way that we're doing business in this space, and we're ready for it, Patrick.
That is such good news, because it's always been a concern of mine that the smaller guy has been left out. But as you've explained, it's been a development road, and now you're putting full accent on the smaller guy. So all those benefits that come from telematics, and telematics is the best development that's ever happened in the trucking industry. Very small, medium, it's not fleet management for the sake of the name fleet management. Very few people can define fleet management, by the way. You know, I was approached by a conference company and said, we're doing a conference on fleet management. I said, define fleet management. They said, it's where you take trucks across the border. I said, no. And you are actually doing a seminar on this. No, I don't want to be there. But you're putting a fleet manager in place.
Correct.
You getting an extra fleet manager in place where you didn't have one before.
Correct.
And you've got the bureau services, telematics and the companies. And I've got to end on this, Francois. You know, there were so many companies in the early days. You'll remember them coming in and out, the fly-by-nights. They saw lots of vehicles, quick buck, quick money. They didn't see the risk, and it's a long return on investment. Those who are here have made mark on international markets. Netstar is an international player. Other telematics companies who came the same road and hung in there are international players. We were the pioneers in this arena. South Africa was the pioneers in it. And so I'm just thrilled that the small to medium-sized companies are now going to benefit from this.
So,
And Francois,
so Patrick, maybe just on that point, you know,
Yes.
it's quite interesting. You know, our business in Australia was more focused around the small to medium-sized enterprise.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are a dominant player in that space. And the platform that we're now offering in South Africa was sort of heavily built on our experiences in Australia. You know, so we do have this ability to go and learn from other markets and come and apply it here. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
yeah, so from Australia, their main focus was on this, or from Netstar's point of view, was on the small to medium-sized business. So you've learned a lot from that market.
100%. They've got two sort of main focus areas in Australia. I think the large enterprise is very focused around compliance management. You know, so the Australian market has got very strict compliance rules around the way that you operate your large fleets and so on. Where in this country, it is we're not quite there yet. I know there's many white papers out, but we're not quite there yet. You know, but the other focus for them was the small to medium-sized enterprises, and they were very successful in that space. Well, it still are.
Fantastic. So we teach them rugby because they don't know that, and they teaching us a little bit about small to medium-sized fleet. International cooperation. Francois, I want to thank you, and not only for our talk today, but I want to thank you for the years you've put into developing R&D systems. You've given the country and the world wonderful, wonderful technology that is implementable at affordable costs and actually helps to improve. Now that is something great, and I know you've been a big part of it. So I want to shake your hand on that. Thank you,
Patrick,
for
and
today.
thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to your audience today.
Lovely. Thanks so much.